yeah.
Talk Wack to me, talk Wack to me,
yeah.
Talk Wack to me, talk Wack
It's
to me.
the WACCast podcast, yeah.
Talk Wack to me, talk Wack to me,
yeah.
Talk Wack to me, talk Wack to me. Whoa, 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 ho, 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 ho. What is up, Wack people? Oh my God, I've been saying that so much, you guys. What's up with everybody? I hope everything is amazing for you all as always. I am, of course, your host, the Honorable OCT Octavius Haye. And if you don't know, now you know. You are listening to the WACCast podcast today. And yeah, man, been on a little bit of a break, a little hiatus. Been having some skeleton issues, some things moving around. I've been really busy, so had to take a few weeks off, but I'm back and I'm ready to talk Wack. So let's talk Wack to him. So man, oh man, so sad when friendships seem to be coming apart. Looks like Gillie and Walo on a $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. They had Jay Prince on there. They had Larry Hoover Jr., Larry Hoover's son on there. And it pretty much were talking about, you know, the process they're going through to try to free Larry Hoover from prison and getting a little bit of Jay Prince backstory and things like that. And of course, Jay Prince and Wack have a little beef over some footage that this female, I guess she went and interviewed Jay Prince. She had some footage, Wack says they were trying to extort her. Jay Prince says Wack is trying to extort them. And, it all comes to a confusion about, I guess, the contract of who owns footage. And she wouldn't let them use the footage to try to get him out. Footage of him talking and speaking to try to help his case of getting out. And pretty much Jay Prince went in on Wack, just called him Rat 100 and saying how he this type person that just bad stuff. A lot of people are upset at Gillie and Walo because Gillie and Walo are like really cool with Wack. They've had Wack on the podcast. They seem to have like a really close friendship. They be goofy with each other. It's all good. It's all love. I believe when Wack was doing his podcast, he had them on there. I believe so. It's a familiar relationship. I don't know how good of friends they are, but they seem like they really cool. Like they really fool with each other. Now, of course, Wack is the king of Clubhouse, so he took the Clubhouse to talk about this, and his cheerleaders was going in, getting mad, frustrated over talking to each other, just so frustrated that Walo and Gillie didn't stand up for Wack, didn't cut off Jay Prince and say, "Hey man, that's the homie, you can't talk like that about him." So the situation they're going through as far as with the footage of Larry Hoover and who has his best interest at heart, I don't know. They exchanged a text message conversation that they each said. I don't know what's going on with that. But I will say as far as Wack being upset, and Wack even said next time you see him, he's gonna see what's up, and depending on how they answer, you're gonna know if they messed the room up or if they dap it up. I don't know. But as far as Wack being upset that they didn't stand up for him or check Jay Prince a little bit, how do I feel about that? Because on one hand, I get that that's your boy, but on the other hand, you're creating content, you're interviewing this man, you want him to speak, and they didn't go into the bashing of Wack. They kind of ignored it. They didn't even like egg him on, like, what you mean by that or nothing. Other than when Gillie read the text message, they didn't really respond to it. And Gillie read the text message that Jay Prince showed him that Wack, the conversation between him and Wack, or him and Kanye, I don't know. But Gillie didn't really respond to that. They never really responded to nothing he said. And they just kept trying to, oh yeah, so tell us about, when you was working with Death Row, tell us about, your upbringing and, what y'all want to do for free Larry. So I don't think that they were really trying to egg on him to be disrespectful. Jay Prince just kept bringing it back to Wack. Even when they got off of Larry Hoover, he just kept bringing it back to Wack. He clearly got a problem with this dude. And I understand why Wack has been talking about he gonna beat him up and he ain't nothing and ain't nobody scared of Jay Prince and testing him. So Jay Prince got to, kind of get a little irritated with him. I thought it was a great interview, but yeah, I don't know. I gotta agree with Wack to some degree that you shouldn't be. If that's your man's, at some point you got to be like, all right, you say, but I don't think that that's necessarily true. And you can still let your guests get their stuff off, but you can stand up for your guy. If that's your guy, to some degree. You don't have to. I do agree. You got to let the guests talk. And if you want to get in that interview business, sometimes people gonna have negative things to say about your friends. I think there's a way to handle that to where you don't feel like you letting your friends down. I don't feel like they were letting him down. Like I said, they weren't going back and forth and talking trash with him, and they were kind of like trying to move off of that while also giving Jay Prince his respect. I think from Wack's point of view, Wack said if that happened to me, I wouldn't let that happen. I wouldn't stand there and just let nobody talk to y'all about y'all like that. I would say something. And I guess that's just difference of approach. So, like I said, I don't think that they meant any ill will towards Wack. I think Wack a lot of times goes overboard with things. He blows things out of proportion, and he doesn't listen. He knows what he knows, and you can't say nothing to him. He just is it. So I don't know what's gonna happen when and if they see each other. I don't think that Gillie and Walo are punks. I don't think he can punk them out. So I would just hope that they, as all three grown men, would know this ain't nothing about nothing, And your problem ain't with Gillie and Walo. Your problem was with Jay Prince. So that's who you need to see if you want to see somebody. You can go off on them and be like, why you ain't warn me, why you ain't this and that, and that's fine, that's fair, and I get that. But again, that you watched the interview, they was not antagonizing that man or trying to engage in this beef between y'all. They was trying to move far away from it as possible. And I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully Wack and them can squash that because it's stupid. And I gotta say, this is one of the most entertaining podcasts they had when Wack was on there. So Jada has come out and finally addressed Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. And of course, being Jada Pinkett Smith, being I believe she's a narcissist and controlling, she pretty much, came up with that same BS crap of healing and stuff. And she acknowledged that it was wrong and it shouldn't have been done. I don't think she feels any type of way responsible for her actions. She doesn't acknowledge that Will Smith was motivated to do this by years of abuse, mental abuse from her. Now, I don't put the blame on Jada for it happening. Will Smith the one who got up and slapped Chris Rock, not Jada. But I think that she should acknowledge, hey, something's not right with this relationship. Something's not right with Will. And I think I'm a part of why something's not right with him. I'm not the blame. You can't blame me for another grown person making a decision to disrespect somebody else, put their hands on somebody else. But I can at least acknowledge that maybe I don't bring out the best in him. Maybe I don't inspire the best in him. And maybe that's something we need to work on. She kind of sort of alluded to, like, we're just going to keep on navigating this crazy world together or whatever. But yeah, just more of the same from her. You don't really, it's a lot of nothing there when she talks. That's what I start to realize with Jada. She's not really saying much of nothing. She's just saying a bunch of kind of sounding deep words, but it really don't mean nothing. Nothing she says really means anything. She doesn't have to mean anything. She come off deep and woke and burn her incense and just say a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and y'all ready to snap your fingers and shout "Yes, Queen" for her. But I personally think that she's a clown. I think she's a fool. I think she's an idiot. I think that she holds herself at a higher value than what she really is. She's nothing without Will. He completely has breathed life. He's a battery source for her whole career. Nobody would care about a red table, blue table, yellow table, pink table, orange table, green table, whatever color the damn table was, if it wasn't for Will Smith. And that's just a fact. And I think that it's sad that nobody even talks about Will won his first Oscar. That's the biggest award that you can win as an actor. The Academy has decided that you were the best actor of all the people who performed in films. You were the best actor in the leading role that year. That's a big deal out of his whole career. And now he's up there with like greatness and building his legacy projects. And that to be completely disrespected or dismissed because he disrespected Chris Rock. And that's on Will. Again, there's no feeling of shame or like a woman to be like, dang, why did I, you want your woman to be like, feel that for you. And it's been about her, and it's always been about her. And Will's tired of that, probably, hopefully. And I want to hear from him. I want to hear what he has to say. I really hope that we get to hear Will talk his feelings, what's going on, and if he's going to be willing to acknowledge that he's allowing himself to be mentally abused by his family, at least by his wife and his daughter, and maybe he needs to get away so he doesn't do things like that out of character anymore. And that's that. Yeah, but I'm happy. I know Will said he was getting help, and I hope he still is, and I hope that he comes to terms with this. And divorce is hard, but it's better than living in misery. Well. MoNique. Last time I talked about MoNique was the whole bonnet situation. Everybody got it. They killed her in the comments. They killed her all over social media because she was telling women that maybe you shouldn't go out the house wearing a bonnet. You should try to dress presentable. Wherever you go, always try to dress your best. You never know what opportunities could be available to you, whether that be a relationship or your career. And just, you should take some pride in how you look. And I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that we allow too much laziness and too much, we accept too much of everything, and I think there needs to be some morals and things like that, and just lifestyles, that way of living that should be, enforced upon our children. If we put in their brains, make them, want to look better, do better, be better, everything. But even though I agree with her at that point, I just knew eventually MoNique would come back being who she is, man. And it happened with DL Hughley. So they had a comedy show. Who was supposed to be the headliner? What was promised to who? What? Got all confused, and they both came out of this thinking they were supposed to be the headliner. But DL Hughley ended up closing the show. So, since MoNique couldn't be the headliner, she took that opportunity to trash DL Hughley. She called him a B, called that grown man out of his name when he hadn't said nothing about her. She made fun of him for his dog and just started going in, called him a coon and all this vicious stuff. Again, he's coming out later. So this was an attempt to kill his show, to embarrass him before he came out. And it was done in such a vicious way. It was such a vicious, evil way. Like, when somebody playing around and being goofy, and she was throwing a tantrum. She was throwing a rant, going off. And so DL, rightfully so, felt the way about it. And was like, I was the headliner. This was my show. I allowed you to come. I said, okay, you wouldn't even been there if it wasn't for me. Whatever agreement she had, that was between her and whoever booked her. That had nothing to do with DL Hughley. So I had no idea why he was being gone off on. But DL Hughley's the star. DL Hughley's the name. She can't go off on the promoter because don't nobody know the promoter. She can go off on DL Hughley, and now everybody talking about it, right? And of course, MoNique uses the tired excuses that she got where like, hey, I was famous once in this thing that was successful, so I should always be paid the same forever. I'm always gonna be held to that same high standard. It's like she think once you get here, I'm stuck right here, you can't put me down. But I'm sorry, in the entertainment industry, that's not how it works. You hot and then you not. That's just as simple as that. Come on, man. Like you think that Cedric the Entertainer's getting the same checks he was getting back then? No. You think that Vanilla Ice is or MC Hammer's gonna get the same check they got back when they was the hottest? No, because they not as hot right now. The reason why legacy acts like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, and when they were still alive, like Michael Jackson and Prince, the reason why Janet Jackson can still come out and do big numbers, and Mariah Carey, is because they still get that big audience. Their they have a large, loyal fan base. They are going to sell out big time stadiums. So any money you invest in them, you getting that back. That's what it's about. Doesn't matter that you accomplish something great. You can be Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, Star Wars, one of the biggest things ever. He's the most important character ever. He's not getting that big money for anything like he got, or what he could have gotten then, because he's not producing that level of engagement with an audience that would justify a high demand of salary. But here she go again, want to start quoting old ass stuff because she ain't got nothing new to quote. And want to make you feel like, oh yeah, you're right, she was in that movie. But how long ago was that? How long ago was that? And then, of course, she wants to keep edging this thing on. No, even before that. So she comes out of response to DL Hughley getting mad about that. It was like, oh, my brother, I didn't mean anything. I didn't think you were a homosexual. You got touched by that. You felt that. Knowing damn well what she did. And now she's bringing up the fact that his daughter was, I don't know if she was raped or she was sexually assaulted. And making up stories saying it was a grown man. It wasn't. It was another 13-year-old boy that she grew up with. And DL Hughley has touched on it before that he felt bad about that he didn't believe her at first. But to try to make this like worse than what it was and say, oh, he was a grown man, and to bring that up over a dispute of the ordering in a stage, like you wanted to bring up this man's daughter being sexually assaulted because you were upset that you didn't get to close? Because you want to keep on bringing up your old ass credentials of what you did 20 years ago and think you're supposed to get money for that now? You're not producing what you did then, so you're not getting that same amount of money now? And because of that, you want to get frustrated and bring up her sexual assault history? You who claim to love women? You don't love women. You don't love women. Not at all. MoNique, you don't love women. What you love is to weaponize your status as a woman, as a black woman, and weaponize that to devalue any criticism that you get for your actions. Because you can't really argue with these BS arguments you got, because anybody worth half a cent will call that stuff out. MoNique, that's old. MoNique, you ain't sell tickets. How many tickets do you sell? Oh, you sell out? Where are you selling now? Are you selling out at arenas or stadiums? Or are you selling out at nightclubs? Then once you start asking these questions, you don't got nothing to fall back on. So the only thing you can do is start saying, oh, I'm a black woman, you hate black women. Is that why you're saying something against me? No, it's because you faking, you phony, and you using real life struggles for your own selfish need because your career is a flop and you don't want to admit it. And now you go at this man's daughter over her sexual assault history, over some stupid stuff. You still got to perform and be out there. And instead of taking that time to show them, I should have been a headline, look at me, I'm killing it. You take that time to disrespect this black man in the night where he's supposed to be closing, and you think that's fine. I'm done with MoNique. She is a poisonous cancer. There ain't nothing good about her. I don't say I hate her because I don't know her, but I can't stand people like that. This victim mentality, the woe weighs me, the world is all against me. So I can be as vengeful and as spiteful as possible. And I can always put my hands up here. Oh, black woman, can't say nothing back. No, you can't say something back. Forget MoNique. Like I said, the bonnet thing, she was 100% on that, but other than that, her personality, her character, everything about her is nasty and toxic. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end the pod on a sad note today. Atlanta rapper Trouble was murdered. So prayers and condolences out to his family and loved ones. It's never a good thing to hear stories like this. He was murdered allegedly by a gentleman named, or a person, not a gentleman, a scum of the earth if he did do this. I think his name is LaMichael Jones. He recently turned himself in. And it's come out that Trouble was sleeping with his woman. He was actually at her house. They were at her house. I guess they had, he came over there to see her, parked, they hung out, and then they went to sleep in her bed. Now, her and the alleged killer, Michael Jones, they had just broken up a week ago, and she stated that she went off on him. He had been helping her with her paying on the house and things like that, and she was telling he had no money, and she was getting tired of that. And allegedly he started beating on her. She called the police, but he ran off, so she left too because he had left. Let it go. Now this is a week before the murder. Now a week later, however she meets Trouble, they meet each other and go back to her place, and they do what grown folks do. And it was stated that in the middle of the night she woke up. Somehow he had gotten into the house. He might even still had keys, but he had gotten into the house and started beating on her. And then Trouble wakes up, sees this, and then they get into a fight, and then he shoots him. Now he turned himself in, And it's so sad. And again, condolences to the family, the friends, everybody who loved him, his fans. I didn't know the man's music personally, but this of course is a sad story just to hear somebody passing. And it's just a reminder to, watch these women. Sometimes it could be a setup. That wasn't in this case, but even if it's not, you never know when they just broke up with a dude, or if they got a dude who may be crazy. You could be the baddest dude on the planet. You could be the toughest dude, toughest nigga. You can take everybody out, beat everybody up. That don't mean nothing to a gun and a bullet. So just be careful about that, because hey man, one thing I know, a man will a square dude could turn ruthless for the woman he loves. If he feel like he losing his woman, or you messing with his woman, he catch something, a square dude could turn into a straight killer for a woman. Ain't no lie. I think this is a good moment for all, well, not a good moment, but a moment to reflect on how us as men, we interact with women. So if you do want to mess with a woman, maybe bring her back to your place. Y'all get a hotel, something like that. Don't go to her spot. You don't know what's going on in that situation. You don't know what's happening with that, for your safety. And I advise, I don't know if he knew about their relationship, but if a girl say, I just broke up with my dude a week ago, maybe you back off of that. Maybe try to see, what kind of dude is he? If he's somebody who was beating on her, which, she said allegedly he was before that night that he allegedly murdered Trouble, then that let you know, man, I ain't trying to mess with that. I'm trying, you want to mess with something that ain't got all that friction. Yeah, man. And to them dudes who take pride in like taking other women and sleeping with them, just know there can be some consequences with that. And again, you can say, well, you ain't scared and you got it on you, you can do whatever, but why would you welcome that trouble? And you may not even be thinking about it. Niggas see you don't see him, and dang, it's over. If he got that on him too. So that's just so sad. Somebody coming up and trying to, better himself, better his family, make the money. And I understand it, beautiful women are always going to be a temptation, but sometimes we got to try to plan smarter. And women, if you got a man who's doing this abusive stuff, don't just let it go. Men like that, that's a sense of, he feels like he can control you. If he's going to beat on you, he's not just going to be so quick to leave that alone. And for your safety and for the safety of your friends, family, or somebody else who you may be interested in, you got to go to the police, report that dude, report the beatings. Don't just take it. Don't just let him go off. If you sense this pattern of viciousness, and you sense that he may be a little off and controlling and like aggressively controlling, you got to be worried about your safety and the safety of those you bring around you. And this isn't victim blaming at all, but this is just, we always have to be cautious. We want to preserve ourselves. And the thing is, the people who are evil don't care. So we have to care about ourselves. We have to think that, what can we do to get home safely? What can we do to make sure everybody else that we care about gets home safely? So that's what that is, man. So sad again. One more time, condolences, love, prayers to everybody who's affected by his passing. And just hopefully we can move forward strong, learn some lesson in this, and justice can prevail. So that's the show for this week. I promise you guys I'm going to try not to have any more gaps for a long while. I don't like gaps. I want to keep on doing this. I want to stay, consistent with it. Every week something's coming. Definitely going to be doing more Talk Wack to Me. I got about 2 of them up right now. Well, 2 of them that, I'm working on right now along with the pod. And I didn't even remind you guys to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. It's been a while. I'm getting a little sloppy with this, but it's okay. We're bringing it back. So yeah, make sure you do that. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop some new content on the YouTube channel. And go ahead, listen to us. If you just listen to the audio, or this is all audio, but if you listen on the podcast links that we got on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, make sure you follow us so every time I'm uploading a new episode of WACCast podcast. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in this week, getting this whack wisdom, and I hope that you tune in next week to get a little bit more from me. This is the WACCast podcast, and I am whacking off.
It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack
It's
to me.
the WACCast podcast. Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.